Hi everyone and welcome back. A lot of you guys enjoyed the last video I did where I reacted to this game called Surrender on the mobile app Choices, which as you can see is a BDSM story, but on an app that targets teenagers in general, these kinds of, dating simulation games. I was one of those teenagers some years ago playing this kind of crap. If anything, it's gotten more toxic over the years, and that's what we're discussing in this series. What ideas about relationships and about sex are being communicated to teens? How are things that are presented as empowering that are really, harmful or even downright dangerous to your physical health, which a lot of BDSM certainly falls under. And you guys can hear I'm still sick. I'm still recovering from COVID. Now I know that it is COVID. I'm lucky it's been mostly mild for me. The upside of, being sick and being stuck at home is that I have a little bit of extra time. I can't focus on studying, can't focus on work, but I can always drag sadists. So that's what we're gonna do. A lot more kink shaming is coming your way, and I hope everyone's gonna enjoy that. So a quick recap, because I don't know how fast I'll edit this video and when it's gonna go out, but the last time that we were playing this game, it's about this lady. Her name is Isabel Rancic. That's the name that the game gave the character. She's going through an ugly divorce, and this guy, the Dom in this story, is her lawyer who is helping her through the divorce. And as she is divorcing, she's finding out her true authentic sexuality, which is that she has always been a submissive, which is, a fantastic thing to communicate to teenage girls. Some of us are just born and we just want a man to tell us how to live our lives. And the thing that's already come out in the first episode is that, the domineering abusive behavior is not just in the bedroom, it sort of defines this guy's entire personality. And that's certainly the case with a lot of abusers. Where we left off, I thought the episode was going to continue, but it really just finishes with a switch from her perspective to his, and he's just saying, I don't know, the game is on, the game that, whatever this game is. So now we're going to see how the story continues from his perspective. And the other upside to me being sick is that I can do the deep voices better than I could with my natural voice. So you can probably tell I used to be a theater kid, so acting is my shit. Role-playing is, something that I prefer to critique. Okay. All right, so here's some story art that we didn't see last time. This is, I guess, the cover art for our game, which is called Surrender. Very sexy. Surrender to the patriarchy. I think that's what it should be called. And okay, so we can see these are the stylish shoes that he's probably gonna want her to wear. And then we got the handcuffs that were already introduced in the sort of pilot episode. Yeah, because nothing says liberation like a woman handcuffed and blindfolded, which is what happens to kidnapping victims. And also, I'm not the first one to say that high heels make it difficult to run away, and that is certainly one of the reasons that especially women in the sex trade are made to wear them. It really hobbles your mobility, and it is destructive to your feet to wear them every day. So handcuffs not empowering, high heels not empowering. That's general consensus among feminists, actual feminists. Chapter 2, two sides to every story, because now we're going to go into the mind of this dude. Oh my, I forgot. His name is Regan Thorne, right? Very telling name, Thorne. But I think I'm mispronouncing his name. I think it's actually Regan. I don't know with these new American names how to pronounce them. Regan as in, I guess, regal, as in he's a king, or he's a... Can an American person tell me how to properly pronounce his name? I'm going to keep saying Regan because that's what I said in the first episode, but I could be butchering his name. But I think I might keep using it, but still I'd be interested to see what is the proper pronunciation. You settle back in one of the conference rooms at your office, phone in hand. It's not every day I get to send a scandalous picture to a new client. Okay, so he doesn't do this every day, but it implies he has done this before. It implies he has like a roster of women who are supposed to be in a professional context with him, and he's done this before. Isabel is not his first victim. Your eyes are fixed on the screen as typing dots pop up, then disappear, then pop up again and disappear. Isabel's probably. And now we have two options. We can play him a little more self-assured. So in that case, he would be saying, feeling hot and bothered, or thinking is too much too fast. Well, to me, it implies even he himself isn't sure that what he's doing is right. There are different kinds of abuses. There are those running around who really have absolutely no sense of injustice, no sense of what's overstepping, and others who know very well when they're overwhelming somebody or being intrusive, and that is the point. They still think they have a right to do so. So I'm not sure how I should play him, sort of doubtful about himself. To me, this is like his internal dialogue. He was acting pretty self-assured. Let's just say he is. So Isabel's probably feeling hot and bothered. With any luck, she's squirming in her seat right now. You can imagine the exact expression she's wearing, that alluring combination of embarrassment and insatiable curiosity. Okay, a woman of any age can be a target of abuse, but men like Regan would generally target somebody young because they're inexperienced, because they don't know what's going on, because they don't yet know their boundaries, because, which we know is certainly the case for Isabel, they don't have a stable support system that's gonna check on them, see how they're doing, challenge them if they're engaging in self-destructive behavior. Yeah, she's embarrassed because this is new to her. He's not looking for an equal. He's not looking for someone who, I guess, has already fulfilled her submissive potential or whatever, but would maybe at least know how to put up a boundary. Going after the inexperienced person, the isolated person, the distressed person is what a lot of abusers would do. Not all. Some like tearing down someone who seems stable and strong, but a lot of them like somebody who's in a fragile place. You knew it was a bad idea to tease Isabel during your first meeting together, but you couldn't resist. Yeah, so he's aware that what he's doing isn't right, and he does it anyway. Well, he's pretending he couldn't help it. That's just how he is. Nothing to be done about that. I blame the handcuffs. The moment these things came out of her purse, all bets were off. Conflict of interest be damned. Men not being able to help themselves and being inappropriate. I mean, everything that feminism is trying to counter, you're always accountable for your actions when you're hurting other people. I was going to say one more thing. A friend who watched my video pointed this out, and she's completely right. I've been commenting on the things that she is wearing or not wearing because we decided to go against this sort of like sexy dress to the office. What is he wearing? Like, what professional lawyer walks around like this? This is how you might go to a club. This is what the stereotype of a pimp in a movie looks like, which is of course not how the average pimp in real life looks like, but the purple suit is giving me creepy vibes anyway. Yeah, my friend was just saying, like, if a guy came to the office dressed like this, everyone would be really weirded out. It's not appropriate. A cuff sounds from the other side of the conference room. You glance up to find Pat Rensick's team of lawyers staring expectantly at you. Right, so this is her husband, Isabel's husband, Pat. And the only way that they can get us to like Regan is by making Pat even more insufferable. Even though I'm not even sure. So far they've been pretty equally insufferable. Well, Thorne, do these conditions satisfy you? I hate these preliminary meetings. Until the paperwork is filed, this is all just posturing. Oh, so again, we can also play him more aggressive or more professional. Let's just play a little bit more professional for now. I feel like this is coming on very strong. You already know the answer to that. How many times do we have to do this before you realize I'm not going to let you ride roughshod over my client? You don't get to make all the rules, you know? Neither do you. Try again. One of the other partners at your firm chuckles from her seat beside you. You heard the man, so let's start over. You fight a groan as they start droning on all over again, but there's no escaping it. This meeting is all part of the game. That was the theory that you guys put in the comments last time, and you said, he is potentially seeking out these women who are seeking a divorce from an abusive guy, and then the whole procedure, including these conference rooms, this is all a ploy for him to get her and abuse her and feel powerful. All right, that is making a lot of sense, and I am creeped out that the game is dropping more and more hints that that theory is, well, it looks pretty on point. Unable to resist, you return your attention to your phone. Ugh. Kitty cat got your tongue, or let's go with that one. Kitty cat, I like that. Kitty cat got your tongue? Lucky kitty. This is so ridiculous. I don't even know what to say. I can't talk. Okay, so that is her saying, please leave me alone, at least right now. That is her. Like, this is the closest she's come to saying, stop here, please. I'm at work. And he's just going to see that as an invitation to bother her more, because he enjoys the feeling that he's got power over her. Who said I wanted to talk? She said no, he keeps bothering her. Red flag. Deleted, blocked. What else did you have in mind? Okay, that's her teasing back, I guess. Yeah. Okay, and now I guess this is the first time that she's being explicit in that she desires something. I guess that's kissing or chains. Okay, so love or punishment. Or maybe eggplant. They talk to each other for like 15 minutes. Okay. She's willing to play. Excellent. Willing to play while communicating on the level of like a high schooler. Of course, the precedent set by the litigation of the Excelsior case is in our client's favor. Not that we wish to inform proceedings at this juncture. Mr. Thorne, are you even listening? You wave away their concerns, barely glancing up from your phone. When you say something that requires my full attention, rest assured that you'll have it. Step outside for some air. Oh, again, this is so creepy. Like, when they're not even in the same room, even then he's telling her what to do and controlling her. Yeah. I can't just leave my desk. I wasn't asking. Of course he wasn't. This is an order. Mm-hmm. Okay, now what? Oh no, Isabel, I fear for your soul. Now answer my question. Have you been a good girl? What do you mean? It's not a difficult question. Either you did as I asked or you disobeyed me. This is such a creepy way of talking. This is probably going to be my comment 50, 100 times. It is, who talks like that? I finished your list. Because you're a good girl. Say it. Oh, this is so weird to voice. Ugh. You're pulled from your phone by the lawyers. Trust them to see something relevant just when things with Isabel are getting interesting. And as for the initial paperwork, Mr. Thorne, we feel you should... No. But it's common practice to. No. He is behaving like such a child, like on his phone and not paying attention and then just brushing people off because he can. Is there any human relationship this man has that is not about power play? Probably not. Thorne thinks we'll go much faster if... You heave a wary sigh. Idiots. You're surrounded by idiots. It'll be a piece of cake to take Pat Rancic for all he's worth. Yeah, I'm not surprised this guy probably has a pretty big ego. I wonder if we're gonna learn a little bit more. I was wondering how much inspiration this game takes from 50 Shades, which I have neither read nor seen. My knowledge of it is entirely based on what people have told me, but in 50 Shades you have a backstory as to why he is as abusive as he is. Like, he has some kind of sick hatred for his mother, who was a woman in prostitution, a drug-addicted woman in prostitution, or at least that's what he claims. and who presumably mistreated him, which is why he enjoys mistreating women. I wonder if we're gonna actually see a little bit more than just this, okay, he's a super arrogant, successful lawyer, if we're gonna get any deeper reasons. Not that I think that men generally become abusive because their moms were abusive. That's a myth. Those of you who might have read Why Does He Do That by Lundy Bancroft, where he discusses, well, why does he do that? Why do men become abusive? He says, the data does not bear out that abusive moms make abusive men. It's actually more likely that abusive dads make abusive men because kids tend to model themselves on the behavior of the parent with the same sex. So the kind of male role models that a boy is surrounded by is who he's likely to model himself on. So if his dad or stepdad beats his mother, he doesn't necessarily become an abuser, but there is more correlation between that than if the mom is the one hurting the boy, which is also a real thing. There's no doubt denying it, but that's not a clear-cut cause of male abusive behavior. So I wonder what Reagan's backstory is and if we're going to get to see it. I already gave you the dates, the net worth, and retainer agreements. We all know I don't have to tell you anything else until discovery. From the low muttering taking place on the other side of the room, you know you've scored a hit. If I have to take much more of this, I'm going to lose my mind. That could be my internal dialogue. No, I mean, this is actually fun. I like to rag on abusive men. Might do some more videos where I'm responding to actual pimps and stuff, but it's always, of course, a little bit safer to rag on a fictional person than a real person, you know, especially a real person who also has a set of expensive lawyers. The phone sits silent and expectant in your hand. You know Isabel is waiting for your next instructions. I could always spice things up and tell Isabel exactly how I'd use that riding crop on her. I had to look up this term as well because I'm not a native speaker. I don't know what a riding crop is, but then I looked up the German word and it's what you beat a horse with to go faster, I presume. Collars and riding crops, and yeah, I guess women are just animals. Very nice, like men putting women in a position of animals. Yeah, I remember that in the first episode, her husband Pat also wanted to, well, his name is Pat, and he wanted to be treated as a pet. But it's different because he was the one in control because he was paying a woman to do that to him. This is different. Isabel isn't paying Regan to do what she wants. He is dictating the boundaries, the circumstances of the relationship. And we'll see if he's just lucky and she just likes everything he does, which no real person would, even if they have a submissive streak, or if like she ever puts any boundaries on it, or if he's just the master of those boundaries, which so far he has been. And again, we're not going to spend any money. I should say that, yeah, when I log into this game, I get some free diamonds, and you can slowly increase the diamond count just by, logging in repeatedly. So if we really want to, we can use the diamond option sometime, but I would save those diamonds for when the option seems actually interesting. I'm presuming this is the part of the episode where we get taught how this would be used, and I don't think we would get to understand the sort of screwed up abusive psychology of a sadist much better if we get an instruction manual for a writing crop. So I'm going to skip it, but maybe later there'll be diamond options that are interesting. That might, maybe when he tells his backstory, let's save our diamonds for that. You shake your unruly thoughts into a semblance of order. As much as you'd love to keep pushing Isabel, this isn't the time or the place. When has it ever been the time or the place? Besides, I'm probably already going to hell for pointing her down this path to begin with. He knows it's wrong, and that's why he likes it. Clearing your throat, you push your phone away and refocus on negotiations. Goes without saying, but we'll be filing an order to have all mutual accounts frozen indefinitely. Oh, so Pat is trying to have Isabel without any money. So good, she got a job. She's probably predicting that kind of thing might happen. And our appraisers will make a valuation of the home and its contents. Your appraisers will be working alongside mine, or I'll have the whole lot of you brought up in front of the disciplinary board. Yes, everything is about discipline with this man. Everybody needs to be disciplined. He is the only adult in a world full of children. What a headspace to live in. I do not envy that. Let's see if he has any friends. I'm curious if this man knows what a friendship is. Both lawyers opened their mouths to refute this, but you've had enough. You consider making baseless claims in an attempt to increase your billable hours all you want, but don't expect me to stick around to listen. But we're not. Your client is the one at fault, so we'll proceed with this divorce settlement on my terms. You have the satisfaction of seeing the entire table grow uncomfortably silent. Tell your client that he can expect to be served by the end of the week. I have nothing more to say to any of you. Pushing back from the table, you leave the room without a backwards glance. As you're finishing up at work that afternoon, you buzz your assistant. She pops her head into your office almost immediately. Call Miss Rancic and set up a business dinner for tonight. I'd like to update her in person about today's meeting. I wonder, first of all, if he has abused any of his assistants before. So far, I think they've all been women, and his colleagues too. The example I gave of my friend who had a boss who was a sadist, sexual and otherwise, he was doing it to his female employees. I wonder if Reagan is doing that. And otherwise, I wonder if these assistants ever catch on to that he's doing it to the female clients. If I was writing a thriller or whatever, then an assistant who just started at Reagan's office would find out this stuff and, start exposing him and taking him down. That would be a cool story. Certainly, is this a special occasion? He just said he's updating her, but his assistant already knows that this is also a date of some sort. Or I guess she at least has a hunch, I bet. If you must know, he seems so self-assured, he probably let something slip in front of the assistant. So let's say, I haven't decided yet. Miss Rancic is still in shock. I need to tread carefully with her. Then what are you doing? What if you understand? This is the thing with some types of sociopaths. It's not that they don't understand other people's feelings. He rationally understands that Isabel is in shock, but he still doesn't care. He knows what emotions are going on, but he's not empathizing. So this is really faint concern. Yes, the poor thing. She's been through quite the ordeal. Your assistant pulls out her tablet and starts scrolling through it. Do you want me to make a reservation at the usual place? I can get you a regular table, or maybe where he takes all the other women. Wonder if we're going to meet any of those. One of them coming back, oh, she's probably going to be like the jealous ex. In these stories, there's always a jealousy storyline where someone's ex comes up. So we have Pat. I bet you there's going to be a woman from his past that comes up. And I hope she hates his guts. And she makes life really difficult for him. I know you wanted to try that new place overlooking Lake Michigan. If you really want to impress Miss Rancic, a 5-star meal is just the thing. Oh, this is probably another diamond option, betcha. You've been dying to try Death's Cave ever since it first opened, and not just because it's only accessible via helicopter. So he's going to take her to a place where she can't even run away via the staircase. The restaurant caters to clients who are looking for a little extra privacy in their dining experience. Why would you need extra privacy? Well, I guess they're discussing a sensitive topic, but they should just do that in his office. That would be the appropriate place. A night of decadent food, exquisite surroundings, and the right company might be just the thing. Especially since I can't get the right company or her deliciously naive curiosity out of my mind. He likes vulnerability. He gets off on it. What do? Take Isabel out for a night to remember. Stick to the usual. If we start using the diamonds, we'll run out pretty quickly. I wonder if we should do that. If so, it's probably going to get explicit also, I presume. So I don't know, maybe we should save the diamonds. And it's really creepy to take someone out on a first date to a place where they can't leave if they're not comfortable. So let's not put Isabel through that, even though I absolutely don't put it past him, and we're going to save our diamonds for another time. Yeah. You shake your head. You've already pushed things too far with Isabel. An elegant night out will send mixed signals. There are no mixed signals. He said, "Can I please abuse you, miss?" Except he obviously didn't say miss or please. "Book my usual table, please." "Whatever you prefer, Mr. Thorne." That evening, you arrive at the restaurant a few minutes early, accompanied by your head of security. "You think you'd be tired of this place by now?" Why does he have the head of security with him at the rest? I don't understand this. Why? Does he have that many people hating him that he needs a bodyguard? "Since when do I pay you to have an opinion?" Wow, and he's a dick to his bodyguard too. Is literally anything about this man likable? He is a dick to everyone he meets. "You don't, but you also don't pay me enough not to have one, so..." Laughing, you watch as Anderson goes through his routine sweep of the building's exterior. Sometimes it seems extreme to take a bodyguard everywhere you go, but you've learned the hard way that it's better to be safe than sorry. He's got some kind of mortal enemies? This is a dark, dark rabbit hole we're going down here. Like, a sadist is always a bad thing, but a sadist with a lot of money and power? Oh, Isabel. One of these days, you should take me out for a fancy dinner. Lord knows I earned one, putting up with you all these years. I can believe that. You know you love me. Admit it, your life is a lot more exciting now that you have me to follow around. Can't argue with that. Since Anderson knows all about your preferences, this discretion is appreciated. Finding a bodyguard you trust wasn't easy. And again, the sexual sadist involves everybody. His assistant, his bot, everyone is involved. Or maybe it's if his predilections got out, it would be some kind of scandal, because the tabloids, well, BDSM, it's not like you're actually prosecuted, right? It's not at all like homosexuality. Like I said last time, that comparison is extremely insulting. Yeah, the tabloids still enjoy writing about it. I guess it is stigmatized in that sense. But some things are stigmatized for a reason. And no, I'm not interested in destigmatizing men who get a hard-on from hurting women. That sounds like a fundamentally terrible idea. Anderson nods once, understanding, passing between you. You smile gratefully at him before heading inside. You immediately feel right at home. The understated elegance and easygoing staff make this place ideal for a dinner with clients. "Mr. Thorne, I thought I saw your name on the reservation list. Big night tonight?" "Something like that. Could you let me know when my guest arrives?" "She already has." Your chest gives a strange lurch as Isabel steps forward, looking as sweetly intoxicating as she did in your office. Throughout this book, you also get to choose how Regan shows off his dominance. Of course you do. These dialogue options are hell on earth. This is what a normal person would say. "Isabel, I hope you weren't waiting long." This is what a sociopath would say. "Afraid of what would happen if you were late?" I didn't think that we were going to be able to play from his perspective. I thought we were just her, and my goal was to keep rebuffing him. But yeah, I have a hard time playing this, like, abusiveness. But then I guess the more realistic abuser is somebody who isn't always mean. Does the BDSM community propagate? Aftercare. So after you have beaten, choked, strangled, whatever, your partner, they have incurred some kind of mild physical and emotional trauma. So afterwards you hug them and soothe them, and that's what they call aftercare. which is trauma bonding is the more precise term. So what a realistic abuser does is go back and forth between the mean side, the obviously abusive side, and the sweet side, because then the victim will keep coming back hoping that the sweet side will be there most of the time, and getting the feeling that when he shows abusiveness, they deserved it because they must have done something wrong. The victim then tries to figure out a system of how they can get more of the sweet side and avoid the abusive side, when in reality, they're always going to get the abusive side sooner or later. And the sweetness is how you get hooked in. So if we play the realistic abuser, he's going to be sweet, caring, and concerned some of the time. So let's play it like that. Isabel, I hope you weren't waiting long. I wasn't sure if I could find this place, so I gave myself extra time to get here. Are you always so practical? Her eyes fly open to meet yours before swiftly moving back down again. I didn't want to upset you. In an abusive relationship, what happens sooner or later is that the victim is walking on eggshells. They're always trying to predict, when is the abuser going to fly off the handle? When are their next anger breakout going to be that's either going to end up with physical or emotional verbal abuse? And I understand that the idea is that in BDSM, it's not real abuse because both people want to be treated that way. The victim wants to not know when the next abuse that is consensual, non-consent, blah, comes. But someone who gets sexually aroused by degrading others is fundamentally suspect, because it's not like you get off only on the illusion and not the actual thing. That's why he is treating everyone with arrogance and distaste, because he actually likes being in power, not just pretend power, but actual power. And that, even when it's a game, sooner or later, that's going to come out. They're trying to tell us this is what she wants. She wants this anticipation. When is he going to be sweet? When is he going to be rough with me? Ugh. That's what they want us to believe that she wants. But that is also the behavior of an abuser. And even if that is consensual on some level, chances are a sexual sadist will sooner or later, be a sadist and break a boundary. That is the thing that's eroticized. This is, even if it looks like they're just play acting an abusive relationship, at some point, if you're play acting, especially 24/7, what is the difference between the play acting and the actual thing? Because, for example, her self-esteem is pretty low right now. And he is telling her, she's not capable, exactly like Pat did, exactly like her ex-husband did. How is her self-esteem going to get any better if someone keeps telling her that she's a ditzy little idiot? You can't help smirking. Despite the professional environment, your body stirs response to her words. So he's getting a hard-on from her, making herself small in front of him. Smart girl. Isabel's step falters, so you place a hand lightly on her back and guide her towards your usual table. You'll be pleased to know that Pierre is back in the kitchen tonight. I hope his surgery went well. Also, he knows all the staff and he's very deeply involved in their lives, okay? Pierre, nothing will get him to admit he's in anything but top form. Here you go. I'll have your waiter bring out a bottle of the Chateau Lafayette's Rothschild, 2009 vintage. All of this is just Regan trying to impress Isabel that he's, so caring, he cares about the staff and he can afford all this luxury. Let's go with 2000 this time, thank you. Right? Even more luxury, because again, this dumb shit wouldn't be sexy if they were drinking beer out of a can in a garage. Pulling out Isabel's chair, you stand politely while she lowers herself into it. She peeks up at you over her shoulder. You know everyone here. This must be where you bring all your clients. So Isabel is not dumb. She knows she's not the first woman that he's pulling the stuff on. And now she's trying to coax out that information out of him. You hesitate a moment too long. Oh, I see. And here's the thing. He said from the start, he doesn't do commitment. He doesn't do this one woman thing. He said that very clearly. But we have several indications that she's hoping that she'll be the one to domesticate him. She'll be the one to make him satisfied with one woman. She was always unhappy when he implied that there were other women. So from the start, they want different things. So even if there wasn't all this dom sub bullshit, this couldn't work because they don't want the same thing. But she is going into it anyway because she's upset and needs stability, and he seems to offer something, at least consistent, even if it's bad. And he's looking for another victim. Yeah, this could be a horror movie, like 50 Shades is, in my opinion. You sigh internally, but perhaps it's for the best. This is a business dinner after all. You take a seat at the table across from her. You'll be happy to know that the meeting with your ex's lawyers today went well. Despite the temporary distraction, I was able to get a good read on Pat's team. How? You weren't paying attention the whole time? Isabel flushes before leaning eagerly across the table. And? It's clear Pat's case is weak, and his lawyers know it. With you being separated since the betrayal, this divorce should be a slam dunk. I hope he's overestimating himself. I hope he gets to eat his words. You really enjoy this, don't you? Winning? Of course I do. That's what makes me so good at my job. Even if he wasn't a dom, who wants to date this I'm a winner dude? As she shakes her head, her hair catches the candlelight and holds it. It's more than that. You almost transform when you start talking litigation. Like, he needs someone fawning over him. He's never said a single nice thing to her, but here she is fangirling over him. That's because I always get my way. Nothing makes me happier than watching everyone else squirm. Red flag. Even me? You flash your teeth at Isabel, a hunter getting ready to pounce. Yeah, he sees her as literal prey. We need to desexualize this whole a man goes out and hunts down a woman thing. Like, it's bad for women, first of all, and second of all, it's also bad for men, because a lot of men don't like this aggression. They can't identify with, they can't do it, they don't want to do it. A lot of women don't want to be treated that way. This needs to be retired, not dressed up in leather and redesigned and resold to us. Especially you. The waiter arrives with your starters. The rich, delicious aroma of the food fills your senses. This looks great, thank you. The waiter bows politely before leaving. You can't help but stare, mesmerized, as Isabel picks up her fork and brings a bite to her lips. You should try some of your prawns at least. Everything is so delicious. Pushing your plate aside, you shake your head. You are unsure you trust yourself to unleash any of your appetites right now. Business first. My next step is to get the petition together based on the information you were so obliging to put together for me. Isabel fumbles with her cutlery. Since there are no kids, it's just a matter of serving him and negotiating the division of assets. I plan to take that bastard for everything he's worth, including his. That's wildly inappropriate, especially considering he knows that she has a sex-related trauma from this relationship, a sex-related betrayal. Like, could he be any worse if he tried? Isabel flushes all over, her skin touched by embarrassment. And something more. It's exactly the reaction you were hoping for. How do you know he has a favorite? These people know nothing about each other. How can they have these conversations? We all have a favorite, Isabel. Do we? Okay, so let me be clear. It's not like sex toys are fundamentally bad. Let's put it like this. Most people do not have a set of torture instruments in their home. And no teenager should feel like they need to get an assortment. Otherwise, they are boring, not open-minded enough, or whatever else. For a moment, she hesitates, and you know that she has a question on the tip of her tongue, but she holds back, changing the subject. I don't know how I'll ever be able to thank you enough for all this. You shouldn't say thank you. You should run. It's just a business dinner. She shakes her head resolutely. I don't mean tonight. Ever since I walked in on Pat, I've felt lost. Now she's confiding in him. That's the worst possible thing you can do. He's not shown himself to be trustworthy or even empathetic. Her eyes meet yours, shining with earnest sincerity. It's not a look you get very often, and you aren't sure you like the way it makes you feel. He doesn't like emotional vulnerability. Color me surprised. Walking into your office is the first time in a long time I felt even remotely in control of my life by having someone else control it, which is basically never a good idea. Before you can respond, the waiter arrives with your main courses. You've never been so grateful for an interruption. He doesn't want to be there for her emotionally. See, they don't want the same things she wants. Maybe she just wants, someone, a take charge dude, but also a shoulder to cry on, and I don't think that's what he wants or is even capable of. But we'll see if we have this storyline of her domesticating him, so that then he can have that emotional maturity, that emotional range. How's that for irony? The moment Isabel walked into that office, it's when I started to feel like I have no control at all. He has no control over the fact that he's trying to take control over her life. Yeah, I believe that. After the waiter leaves, Isabel tucks into her meal. She notices you barely touching your food and lifts an inquisitive brow. Aren't you hungry? Not for food. You wait for her to react, but she doesn't fall for the bait this time. There's only so many times you can make a sexual innuendo, and at some point it's going to start just being silly. I think we passed that point a long time ago. Maybe you should tell me more about what to expect from the divorce proceedings. What if Pat fights us on it? What if we end up in court? Back to being professional? If that happens, he cannot stop being a sadist for a single sentence. Then I'll have a bigger audience for when I humiliate him. Is it wrong of me to hope for a packed courtroom? Your enemy's enemy is not your friend, Isabel. Well, it appears you have a dark side, Isabel. I usually don't. There must be something about you that draws it out. No matter what happens with the case, I'm just glad to have you on my side. I bet you're terrifying in court. Are they going to play act some court shit, like some role-playing later on? I bet they will. Oh, I don't need a courtroom. I can be terrifying anywhere. Chivalry and a strange reluctance to end the evening compel you to drop Isabel back off at her hotel. Chivalry? He's just trying to get in her pants. But that's how he sees themselves, as chivalrous. Wow. This is really sweet of you, but I can see myself inside. That's her putting up a boundary. Hello, boundary. I'm walking you to the elevator, Isabel. Don't argue with me. She literally just said no. In a BDSM relationship, that's why they have safe words, because no, or I'd rather not, is not taken as no. That's part of the rules that they haven't established between themselves. Wonder if he's going to make her sign a contract, like in 50 Shades. The problem is, well, first of all, there's a lot of disrespect for safe words from a lot of doms because they're sadists. And second of all, when you're the sub, you sometimes forget what the safe word is. You can literally forget it, or they haven't established one. So he doesn't know when she's genuinely saying no and when she's play acting no. What could possibly go wrong? Sorry, it's embarrassing that I'm still in a hotel and that I let Pat take the condo even though he cheated on me. That's true. You don't have to apologize to me. You just have to obey. You can tell Isabel is struggling with herself. Half of her wants to meekly submit, while the other half is curious how far you'll go. when is it a game and when is she genuinely saying no? When is it genuinely an argument or a boundary? You're going to confuse yourself so bad if you're doing this dom sub shit 24/7. In that case, let me change the subject. I had a really great time tonight. It was enlightening, to say the least. She stops in front of the elevator and holds out her hand. Temptation gets the better of you and you lean in close to the whisper. Isabel, I really don't want him to go to the hotel room. I don't want to read those dialogues. I think we've seen plenty of abusive behavior just at the dinner table, so I'm going to say, dream of me. That's an order. Isabel gasps as her eyes fly up to meet yours. I mean it. I want you to go to bed thinking about me. And if I don't, from the way her whole body curves towards yours, you know she'll be thinking of nothing else. You will. He wants to haunt her, even in her dreams. Every muscle in your body strains to pull this woman into your arms, to take her right here and now, in the hotel lobby. You ball your hands into fists at your side, determined to withstand the temptation when you spot someone out of the corner of your eye. Who could it be? Oh, it's Pat. I was hoping it'd be his ex, but Pat's okay too. Come on, Pat. Make his life harder. I can say I like nothing more than two abusive men making each other's lives worse. Like when Pims and Johns beat each other up. It's just the funniest thing. That is if there's, no trafficking victims getting hurt in the course of it, obviously. But when it's just, two abusive men hurting each other, I couldn't give less of a fuck. What is he doing here? As you straighten up, the figure comes into Isabel's line of sight, and he's not alone. I'm telling you, baby, this place has the best steaks in town. I wonder if he's out with his dominatrix. Yep. She doesn't even have a name. She's just called dominatrix. I hope so, for your sake. You can't afford to disappoint me again. Is that Pat with his dominatrix? Okay, that's the end of the chapter. So, did we learn anything here? Well, I think the most important takeaway, in case that's news to everyone, but I'm assuming kind of that my audience is pretty educated on abusive relationships, but just in case it's news to anyone, abusers are actually not mean 24/7. They alternate between sweet and abusive. They can even be sweet for months at a time. I think even for years sometimes, because some women are in abusive relationships for years, and then something changes. For a lot of them, it's actually when the woman is pregnant. That's when man's behavior changes, because she's then, that decreases her likelihood of leaving him by a lot, because she has that kid to take care of. Her financials are going to be more precarious and those sorts of things. So I wonder, does someone who's actually seen it, does the main character in 50 Shades ever have a baby? Because it just came to my mind, how horrific is it that there are children in homes where the father is doing that to the mom and is doing it in the 24/7 style? Can the kid distinguish between play acting and real when the adults can't even clearly do that themselves? Yeah, okay, so that's ending on a very depressing point. Well, overall, I enjoyed making this video. I think it's fun, because I have no idea where the story is going. I have some guesses, but I don't know. So I guess I'm a little bit curious. I'm surprised that they make him this awful. I think they're going to have to give Regan a little more edge. Well, a little more humanity, because he's incredibly unlikable so far. So I'm curious how they tell the story. And if somebody who wasn't applying anything critical to it would just find it kind of funny, or could possibly like it, or if it's too over the top for that, I don't know. But I'd be curious to see. So if you guys want to see more, let me know. I'd like to know what you think about how the story's going, and if this video does similarly well to the last one, then yeah, I'll keep going, and see you in the next one.